All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the epic biological journey of a tiny seed transforming into a massive, juicy watermelon. Honestly, it is a story of just incredible scale and absolute precision. We're going to break down exactly how nature executes this perfect sequence, taking us step by step from a dormant little speck all the way to that massive summer staple we all know and love. I mean, seriously, can this tiny seed actually become a giant watermelon? It almost feels impossible, right? You hold one of those glistening little black seeds on your fingertip, and then you try to picture a 20-pound melon. The size difference is just staggering. But nature's efficiency makes this massive scale-up happen, and getting a handle on how it works, well, it definitely gives you a whole new appreciation for the food on your table. Section 1. The seed's hidden potential. Now, before anything kicks off, the seed just rests. It's protected by this remarkably tough outer coat. It's essentially a microscopic storage vault, just waiting for the perfect environment. For this dormant seed to finally wake up, it absolutely needs this non-negotiable combo: fresh, fertile soil, water, and sunlight. If you've ever tried your hand at gardening, you know this is the holy trinity of plant growth. The seed needs that gentle hydration to soften the shell, the rich nutrients to feed it, and eventually the warmth of the sun to actually pull it upward.
Moving on to Section 2, Awakening in the Soil.
Okay, so once a farmer carefully drops that seed into a freshly dug hole and covers it up, a really rapid underground sequence kicks off, like absolute clockwork. First up, the seed absorbs moisture from the dirt and physically swells. Then, that tough seed coat actually cracks under the pressure. Third, a tiny little root, which is covered in these microscopic hairs to maximize water absorption, breaches the darkness and pushes downward to anchor the whole thing. And finally, step 4, a pale green shoot pushes upward. It's literally fighting gravity to break the surface of the soil.
There's a great quote for this. Within days, the seed awakens and begins a remarkable transformation. And wow, does this dramatic awakening prove just how much kinetic energy is packed into that initial microscopic package. In just a matter of days, the stillness of the seed is totally replaced by this relentless, moving biology. The soil physically shifts as that first sprout rises up to meet the morning light.
Which brings us to Section 3, Vines, Leaves, and Tendrils.
Up above ground, bathed in the morning sun, this explosive vegetative phase just takes over the field. The growth here is, well, it's exponential. The small sprout rapidly enlarges its first green leaves to catch the sunlight. Then its stems start to thicken up, extending into these long, sprawling vines that snake all the way across the garden bed. And as they grow, the plant sends out these fascinating curling tendrils. They act almost like little fingers, grabbing onto anything they can to secure the heavy, dew-covered vines against the wind. The plant is literally claiming its territory.
Next up, Section 4, the essential pollination partnership. As the plant matures and those green vines spread out far and wide, bright yellow flower buds pop up. And this introduces a really critical turning point. See, the watermelon plant doesn't just produce one type of flower. It produces distinct male and female flowers. If you look closely, they're actually quite different. The male flower makes the pollen, while the female flower holds a tiny unfertilized fruit right at its base. Both of these are entirely necessary for a watermelon to actually form, but they need a bridge between them. And that is exactly where our crucial allies enter the picture: the bees. The plant relies entirely on these buzzing visitors to collect pollen from the male flower and transfer it directly to the female flower. Once that successful transfer happens, the flower closes up, the petals eventually drop off, and that tiny little fruit at the base gets the biological green light to start growing. It's a pretty stark biological reality. Without pollination, no watermelon can grow. This is a huge reminder of how interconnected our food systems really are. I mean, this partnership is an absolute necessity. If the wind is too strong or, if the bees simply don't visit the flowers, the cycle just breaks. Your favorite summer fruits simply won't exist without them. Period.
Finally, Section 5, The Giant Harvest Returns.
Assuming our bee friends have done their job, the real heavy lifting of fruit development begins. Just imagine a massive biological time-lapse here. Days after the flower petals fall, you've got a firm, marble-sized fruit. A few weeks later, it swells to the size of a golf ball. Give it a couple more weeks, and it's the size of a tennis ball. And then, over the coming months, it rapidly expands into a fully mature, heavy fruit, developing those iconic, thick, dark green stripes while resting safely in the shade of the plant's broad leaves.
Now, during this massive expansion, the plant is working overtime. Washed by rain and morning dew, the fruit acts as this giant biological storage tank. It's busily pulling up resources from the soil and hoarding all the water, complex sugars, and vital nutrients that make its bright red flesh so incredibly sweet and delicious. It is literally storing up energy for the final product.
And then, the culmination of all this hard work arrives. The farmer walks the field, carefully listening for that hollow sound of the melon to check for perfect ripeness. With a quick cut of the thick stem, the heavy fruit is separated from the vine. After a quick wash, it's sliced open, revealing this beautiful, slow-motion splash of sweet juice and bright red flesh, totally ready for a family to enjoy on a warm afternoon.
To wrap it all up, every giant harvest begins with a single seed. Nature's journey starts small. We really cycle all the way back from a heavy basket full of harvested fruit to just one tiny, glistening seed resting in the palm of a hand. It leaves us to marvel at nature's incredible, quiet efficiency. When you realize the immense, coordinated effort required just to bring one single watermelon to life, doesn't it make you wonder what other massive, beautiful transformations are happening quietly in the soil right beneath our feet today?